So I've been asked a few times to do this, and it is to create a Magic 8-Ball game. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to make a Magic 8-Ball game. So all these things that we've been doing so far, all these actions and fades and all that kind of stuff, this is where it's all been kind of leading to build this Magic 8-Ball game. Not just that, but we can build upon it for other games as well. Okay, so back inside Unity, I am going to create a piece of text, and that text is going to be centered on the screen. And again, I apologize because I'm a bit rusty with the old Macintosh. So I'm just going to leave it as Arial, and I'm going to make this 72. And the phrase, I have a phrase here, so this is the phrases I have here. So this is the longest phrase I have, which is concentrate and ask again. Okay, so if I make this a little bit bigger and I center it, and we will stretch it out to there, and that looks like a good size, and we'll make the color kind of bluey color, kind of light blue, that kind of color there, and then we'll change the camera background to be a kind of electric blue feel to it, that kind of color there. So it kind of looks a bit like, if we go back to the picture here, so it kind of looks like that kind of blue color. What you might want to do is like have the triangle there or whatever, but that's the idea that I want to have. And then I'm going to add a button here to simulate the shake. And what we might do is we might come back and put this on a mobile phone, so when you shake it, it brings up the 8-ball. And what I want here, I want a button, and the button's going to be put there, which is fine. And I'm going to shove the button away up in the corner here and put it up here. And the text for this button will be shake. Okay. So when you click on shake, it will. When you shake a Magic 8-Ball, it feels as if the phrase comes out of the ether, and we're going to do the same thing here as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually scale up this text. So we're going to scale it from like 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, that kind of thing. We're going to scale, oh, that's the wrong text. Whoops, it's this text here. In fact, let's rename this. We'll call this phrase, and we'll change the scale of this. So we'll scale this up from one value to another value, and then we'll bring up the alpha in there as well. Okay, so I will save this just now, scenes, and I'll call this Magic 8-Ball. Alright, and I'll create a script, and it will be called Magic 8-Ball. And I'll fire up Visual Studio. Okay, so here is our Magic 8-Ball. Now the phrase that we have, I got from the web, so I'm just going to paste this phrase in here. It can be anything you want it to be. It doesn't have to be what I have here, but this is the sort of the sort of standard phrases that you get with what do you call it? The 8-Ball. So that's the phrase there. Now what we can do is we can add a public text, but actually we'll call this phrase box, and we'll add our usings up here, .ui, because we're wanting to access things in the UI. And what we can do is we can, now remember in the previous, if you haven't watched the previous videos for a video a day in September, you won't realize that we've actually created an extension for an array that gets a random value inside that array and returns it back. So we can do phrase box dot text equals, and I'll just move this up a wee bit, equals phrases dot random. And that will generate a random. This is an extension method from a couple of videos ago, and it returns a random value. So when we run the scene, we need to add it. So I will add phrase there. So I will add magic 8 ball. Okay, so there's magic 8 ball, and the phrase is that box there. Okay, I keep forgetting to wire things up. And so when we run it, we'll get some random phrase. As I see it, yes. The next time we run it, we're going to get most likely, and then the next time we run it, we're going to get my sources say no, which is good, but we really want to have a nice UI. So we want it to sort of pop up and sort of see things in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to eventually find this here. So I'm going to have a public void shake, and that is going to start a coroutine, because everything over time should be a coroutine. This is a sort of very Unity thing to do, and it really does sort of help. It also means that you compartmentalize everything into sort of smaller chunks here. So the coroutine that we want to start is actually, we can use our Coroutine Factory because it's over time. So we can do our Coroutine Factory.create, and then we specify the duration, which is 1 second, and then the action, which is say phrase. Okay. Now the phrase is going to be at a particular time. So we don't have an initial action in here in the Coroutine Factory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an initial. Where do we have it? No, it's inside here. Coroutine Factory. So I'm going to say action precondition. No. So I'm going to say that we're going to have this optional precondition here, and this optional precondition is going to say if precondition not equal to null, precondition. So I'm just going to run this function if we specify it. So this is our setup. So we get save phrase, and then we have setup. So we don't actually have these functions defined just yet. Oh, I'm missing that there, but we will have them in just a second. So I don't need an update, and I don't really need a start either, but I do need my private void say phrase, and then that's float time, and then I want my private void setup. Oh dear. Still trying to get used to the Mac, sorry. Okay, so our say phrase, what we want to do is we want to scale it up, and we want to what do we want to do? We want to scale it up, and we also want to change the alpha value on it. And for the setup, we want to make sure that the alpha value is 0. Now, we also have the text box color. We can't change the alpha directly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an extension. So this is going to be text box, actually text extensions, and I don't need mono behavior, but I do need this to be static, and I'm going to create two functions here. So public static float get alpha, which we probably won't need. Actually, let's not bother with that. So public void, public static void set alpha, and then we want text, and that'll be this text float alpha. Okay. And we also want to add our UI namespace up here, and then I want to give it a body. I want to grab the existing color, set the alpha on it, and then reset the color back to that new value. So color, which we need Unity, using Unity engine. Current equals text.color, current.alpha equals alpha, text.color equals current. Okay, so that's as we set the alpha value of that there. Now our curve, our magic 8-ball curve, I've kind of mucked this up. We don't actually need that extra function there. So yeah, I've overthought this. Okay, so I want my animation, actually I can just do var. So this is var alpha fade equals curve factory dot create, and then I'm going to go from a start value which is 0f to 1f. That's my alpha fade, and then I'll get var, and then this is going to be the scale fade equals curve factory, and then this is going to be from 0.5 to 1. So it's going to zoom in on us. And then var combined equals alpha plus scale. And then we're going to pass that. Oh dear. No, that's not right. That's the two curves. And then we're going to have var, this is going to be our alpha tick equals, and then it's going to be an action. Oh, and I've got to do action here because it doesn't like this. Action float, which means I need a system. So I'll just get rid of all of that and put in system. So action float alpha tick. So every time the alpha, every time the time changes, we're going to evaluate that curve, and then we're going to return the value back to the color. So we're going to say this is going to be phrasebox dot set alpha, and then it's going to be alpha fade dot evaluate, and then the time t. Okay, and that's our action every time we add values there. Now let's create another one here as well. So we've got this new mono behavior. I should actually call it text extensions. I want to have another extension on here, and that extension is to set the scale. So I want to do public static void set scale, and it's going to be this text, and then float scale. So I want to set the scale. So the current scale is going to be var scale equals new vector 3 scale, and then I'm going to do text.gameObject.transform dot scale, lossy scale equals scale. Now of course I stupidly called that scale. I'm going to call that temp just to save confusion, and that's it. Why does that not let me do that? Oh, lossy scale? What? Local scale. And let's tidy that up. And so we get set alpha, set scale, and then inside our magic 8 ball, we're then going to do action float scale tick equals, and then the same values again. So this time we're going to do phrase box dot set scale, and then this is going to be scale fade dot evaluate t. Okay, so we have our curves. So these are our curve factors, and we're going to go from at 0, at t equals 0, we're going to start off with an alpha of 0, and then at t equals 1, we're going to end with an alpha of 1. And then our scale fade is going to go from half size to full size over our duration. And so we don't need the setup here. We can get rid of that. And then instead of say phrase, we can have alpha tick plus scale tick. And we can get rid of these. So now all of this code is now gone from here. The only one thing we need to do, which is we want to do button, and then we want to make that non-interactable. So how are we going to do that? So the problem with making it interactable is that we need to wait for a second for it to complete. So I think what we can do is we can mark this as being complete. So we'll create a function here called complete, and in fact what we'll do is we'll create an anonymous function, because we haven't done this before. So my anonymous function is going to be button.interactable equals true. Okay, and I don't need to do it for this one, I just need to do it for the one at the end there. So set alpha, phrasebox set alpha, oh, no, that's not right, and that's not the right place, I didn't want to do it there. I'm going to cut that there, and what I want to do is I want to put it in here. Okay, now the reason why I want to put it in there is because remember we created that Coroutine Factory? So this is the precondition. Let's do post condition. I know it's a bit of a trick, but whatever. And then we'll switch post condition out there because we don't know when the action completes. So this is kind of like a trigger that when the action completes, we then do something else. So I'm going to set button.interactable equals false. And so it's going to go through this coroutine, and at the very end of the coroutine, it's then going to make that button be able to click again. Okay. So our setup, our final setup here is our phrase has to be the same color that it is just now, but it has to be 0 alpha, and it also has to be half scale. So 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. 0.5. Okay, and so that's our half scale. And so now just make sure everything's saved, everything's okay, so that I need to drag the button across so that it doesn't throw an error, and we'll save that again. Okay, so now we have our magic 8 ball. So when we shake, it should bring the phrase up and do things there, but of course it doesn't do that because of course I, stupid me, has forgotten to add the event because I keep doing this. So if I go to phrase, and then I go to magic 8 ball, and then I do shake. Okay, so now save, when we click on shake, we now get concentrate and ask again, shake, concentrate and ask again, shake, concentrate and ask again. And the reason why we get that is because I never actually set that to be a random value. So we can do phrase box dot set text equals, and then it's going to be phrases dot random. Okay. And we might run into a little bit of a problem with this, because I think when we first scale, oh no, it should be okay. It should be fine. So we do shake, and so it says outlook good. Most likely. Better not tell you now. Okay. I think we're good on that. So I'm going to end there. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've been enjoying these videos a day in September videos. If you like, don't forget to subscribe. If you've got this far, you might as well. And tell your friends. And yeah, I will see you in tomorrow's video. Or should I say, will I see you in tomorrow's video? There you go. Didn't even plan that. I'll see you tomorrow then. Bye. Hi guys, thank you very much for watching. This is part of the video a day in September 2017 videos. If you liked it or you didn't like it, hit the appropriate button below. Subscribe, so if you hit the little icon over there, then you'll get notified, especially when you hit the little alarm icon. That's the really important part apparently. Then you'll get notified when a new video goes up. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.